bạn ơi, phúc mà.
Here are the 10 things you need to know to live happily in Vietnam.
Bắt đầu nha.
When you are in Vietnam, make sure to learn some basic Vietnamese words. Not only it will make your life easier here, but also you will appear more charming, more unique, more interesting to the locals. You can learn words such as xin chào, cảm ơn, em rất là xinh gái, anh rất là đẹp trai. And it will...
Xin lỗi em.
Yeah.
I heard rất là đẹp trai. Were you talking about me?
Of course.
Okay, well those are some helpful tips, but you do have to be careful with what you say because you might get in trouble with it. Vietnamese is a very beautiful language consisting of 6 tones, but these tones can make it very difficult to become fluent in the language. An example from my past, I tried to order extra chicken at a pho gas spot, and thinking my Vietnamese was good at the time, I confidently said, tim gà, when really I should have said, thêm gà. So I end up with a bowl with about 5 chicken hearts in it. And there are plenty of examples of bad words you could do with this too.
We are going to keep it polite.
Okay, we'll save that for another video.
The norms of politeness are not the same in Vietnam than in your country. Indeed, in Vietnam we have lịch sự and lễ phép. Both means polite, but one is when you say thank you, when you say please, you say sorry, when you do not skip somebody in line, and the other one means being polite towards the elderly. So that is the most important one in Vietnam.
But one thing to remember is there are different mentalities everywhere you go, from the north to the south.
And me too.
But we'll cover that next.
Yeah.
When living in Vietnam, you have to be aware of the region you are in. We have north, central, south, and even the miền Tây. This is important, first off, because of the language. Some words in the north are different than words in the south, plus the way that they say them. Not to mention the food. In the north, it's much saltier. Maybe you prefer sweeter, so you would be in the south. Even the pho is much sweeter in the south. But there are plenty of other differences to talk about when discussing the differences.
And I will explain to you more about the Hom Sao attitude. As you know, the south of Vietnam is known to be very hot, but also very friendly, nice, and full of helpful people. And one thing I really like here, it's the Hom Sao attitude. Whenever something happens bad or very bad, locals will tend to say Hom Sao, which means no problem, it's okay.
And as chill as it is here, you still need to stay aware.
True.
Vietnam is relatively a safe country, but there are some things you need to be aware of. There's not any time that I personally feel in danger here, but with 10 million people in the city, there's guaranteed to be some bad apples. So standing on the side of the road with your phone or your camera can put you in danger of getting it snatched. In 8 years, I've only had something stolen once, and that's because I wasn't paying attention up in Hanoi. But I learned my lesson, and it's not gonna happen again.
One thing you always need to keep in mind is that we have a different culture, we have different ways of seeing a situation. And when living in a country, we, foreigners, need to adapt ourselves to the locals. And like we say in Vietnam, nhập gia tùy tục.
One important thing that we need to point out is the traffic here. In a city with 10 million people, you can expect a lot of people on the road. But even though it looks like chaos from the outside, it's actually organized chaos. Vietnamese people handle it very well. When you start driving, you need to learn to flow with that organized chaos. But if you're not driving, you should worry about crossing the street. I kind of took your part, so don't worry about coming in.
Can you cross the street then? Can you just...
Yeah, let's go to that.
Okay. Vietnam, make sure to try all the amazing local foods. There are so many dishes, such as the classic banh mi, bún thịt nướng.
What about phở?
Phở.
Bún bò Huế.
Bún bò Huế with nước mắm.
Chả giò.
Mắm tôm.
Okay. Mắm rước.
Nước ép.
How about thơm?
Oh, dấu.
Oh, you want to go with it?
Oh, you want okay. Durian.
Chewy? Durian is English.
Yay, it's still words.
Sầu riêng. Mít.
Bún ốc. Bún ốc.
Bún ốc xương.
You got me. Okay, I'm hungry actually.
Let's go.
You gotta walk in the line, bro. You can't leave me here.
A popular topic when it comes to moving to Vietnam is all about the cost of living. Generally, it's low. For example, I lived in a studio apartment for $4 to $5 million a month, which is relatively cheap when compared to the West. Whereas some of my friends here have high-rise apartments for over $30 million a month. You can eat street food for 50 cents, or you can go to a high-end restaurant and have the same prices as your country. It all depends on you.
You.
You?
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
And these are the 10 things you need to know to live happily in Vietnam.
And if you want to know more about this topic, I just made a video about how to learn Vietnamese effectively.